Alright, it's time. Another week. ZTGD Radio. This is episode 781 for January 29th, 2024. On the show this week we have Anthony.
Yep.
We got the Wombat.
Yes, sir.
And that's it. That's it. Goddamn. I can't believe it's February on Friday.
Yeah, flying by.
2024 just started. Why is it already 1/12 done?
You know, I'm alright with just wrapping this year up.
I mean, it's been a long year already. I'm tired.
It has been.
I'm tired. It's like the weather's up and down, left and right, back and forth. But the video games have been good. We can talk about those. Anthony, you wanna kick it off with?
Yeah,
some video
sure.
games?
I'm still playing Another Code Recollection because I need to get to the parts that I've never seen before. But I will say it's a little odd that in recreating Trace Memory, it is not the complete game. It is like abridged slightly. Not that that's a complaint necessarily, but it does feel like this has sort of been turned into a walk somewhere, do a very small minor puzzle, and then walk to the next area. And I felt like Trace Memory had a lot more puzzle solving. I don't know. I'm feeling a bit like I felt like playing the original Detective Pikachu on 3DS, where I was like, well, there are puzzles and there is a story, but I don't know who this is for because it's just not that difficult. Honestly, the biggest complaint I had, it might have been in the original too. It's been so long I can't remember, but at one point you have to get into a locked door, and the key is in a fountain, and I knew that because I had read it previously, but then the game didn't really do a good job of telling me that a door that was previously inaccessible had become accessible, because I'd walked up to it immediately after a cutscene where someone exited, and Ashley, the main character, says, "Oh, I need to go find D first." So I go, and that's the name of her ghost friend. So I go, because he doesn't remember his name. That's the other aspect of it. So he's just got an initial. So I found him in the other room, but the room is locked. So I'm like, okay. So I wandered around going, I assumed I couldn't go through the door that she just told me I couldn't go out of. Incorrect. That is exactly where you have to go. And because we got it the day of release, I looked up online. I'm like, I'm curious if this is a consistent problem. And it was like the second autofill on Google. That's bad design. If everybody is searching for the same answer of what the fuck do I do now, that is bad design. Like, that straight up, like, telling me I can't go through a door and then arbitrarily now I can is awful. That is the reason why I'm a bunch of shit in that I guess it's Clock Tower 2 over here, but it's Clock Tower Ghost Head, the one where you're in the house at first, and there's a samurai armor and a little girl. That had a lot of, you can't go through this door. Actually, you've done this thing now? Yes, you can. Okay. I still love the story. I love that it's voice acted. I think the voice acting is really good. It's a little odd that I can't tell if it's, because I never played the sequel. Maybe the sequel is very much like how the remake of Trace Memory or Another Code, maybe that's how the sequel played out, but I don't know for sure. So maybe when I get to the second half, it's this is being used almost like a tutorial for the bigger section at the end. I don't know yet. So when I find that out, I'll be letting everybody know on the podcast, I'm sure. Other thing I've been playing is Pokemon Legends Arceus.
That's back, huh?
I've never played it.
Oh, I thought you
I
did
never
play it.
knew. So how did that go down? I remember that was like during the period where they released like 2 Pokemon games. So I think it was like in November, the year before its release. They had done Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and I took that one, and then someone else
Well,
reviewed.
I knew Drew reviewed it. I just thought I thought everybody played it.
Nope.
Huh.
Because I had my Pokemon fill at the time, right? And it was a remake of my favorite Pokemon games. Um, Boy, it's really weird. Playing Arceus, kind of seeing what Pokemon could be. And then they kind of didn't do that with Scarlet and Violet. It seems I don't know how that makes sense. I guess in some senses they did take a bunch of aspects, but like I've heard it's different. I really like the setup because more than anything, it like in Pokemon, like you can catch one of a Pokemon and just be done with it, right? And this it's asking you like, no, keep catching the same Pokemon, keep engaging with the same Pokemon, because that increases the Pokédex entry, and in turn increases your ranking. So I think that's really smart way of having someone engage with the same content over and over. Because there is a point in like old Pokemon games where you stop fighting, Ratata or Rattata. I don't know how
Rattata.
to.
Yeah, I think so. I
Yeah,
think that's
okay.
what it is.
I don't remember how it's fucking pronounced. It's been years since I've seen it, but like the show would have pronounced that perfectly, and I don't remember the show. But
Every time I hear it, I just think of rat-a-tat-tat that ass.
that's exactly why my fucking brain, like, I think of the band Ratatat. So, um, but it's you stop doing you stop fighting those Pokemon. You just run or you use a repel. Like you stop searching until you start searching for shinies, which this game also is like, hey, like level up every Pokemon you have too. Like I don't know, there's a lot to do already, and I'm only in the first area, and it's asking me to really engage with everything. I appreciate that because most Pokemon games just kind of push you towards the next gym, and because that isn't in this game, it's like no, level up your Pokemon to get to the point where you can take on Alpha Pokemon and then capture them. And I don't know, there's like a lot to do. It's like the perfect sort of where I wish Pokemon would go. Um, I now understand sort of why people loved it. I actually was expecting the battle sequences to not be so traditional. I actually appreciate that they kind of clip back to the old Pokemon battle style while also retaining a bunch of changes that they've made um, that work alongside the overworld. I don't know. There's a lot to this fucking game already, though, and I'm going to be in it. But this is my. I'm just going to relax and do a little like just accomplish a few things and then I'm done for the day type of thing too. So and then I wrote my review for Turnip Boy. Man, I don't like Rob's a Bank at all. I just don't. I don't think it's as witty. I don't think it's as charming. I don't think it's as good of a game. I can't understand why someone would do that, like make that jump, especially when I think the formula in the first game was like perfect. It actually was one of those games where I finished it. I went, that was really good. We're like, it's probably the perfect length for the first game, but like I would have hoped a sequel did more. And I don't know, have a roguelike where you just kind of go through the same area over and over again because it's not randomized is not fun. It also is like just a twin stick shooter and not like the best one of those. Because as soon as because there's a mechanic where if you take back weapons you find inside the bank and you give them to one of these other characters in the hideout, you start increasing like an XP bar, and every time that bar fills up, you get a new weapon that you can leave the hideout with. Because you can keep all the weapons you find, but you only have spots for 2, and you can only maintain those 2. But like, if you sell them both, now you need another weapon, right? So they always give you your dirt sword from the first game. But as soon as I had the submachine gun, honestly, most enemies, like, they don't fire as fast as a submachine gun. They can't do enough damage, so I just kind of, as long as I circle strafe around them, they're dead. I don't know, like, it feels like a game that would have made sense a decade ago when, indie games were being released on the PS Vita as part of PlayStation Plus. That's what that game feels like. And that is not a compliment. It's not a like, fuck this game, it's terrible. It's just like, and I kind of asked this question in my review, is being fine like okay in 2024? And I would argue it's not. Being an okay game is not a great place to be.
Not unless you're a super fan of that particular series,
and it's
or
Turnip
genre.
Boy, and I'm sorry, like, as much as I like Turnip Boy, I don't know, it felt like, okay, so we have a character, but we didn't know what to do with him, rather than like, we have a character and we're establishing, like, there's a ton of lore, which seems so stupid to say, in Commits Tax Evasion. Like, they do a ton of world building, and then they just kind of throw that away. I mean, this is a direct sequel. It does pick up the story, but it's like, the world fundamentally feels different now. It feels more like it's built for comedy. It's kind of how I felt with, as much as I really want a third one, it's kind of how I felt about Wolfenstein: The New Order being very serious, right? And being very much 2 steps away from being a horror film, or a horror game, I should say, because like, they show you some terrible stuff, and then the sequel kind of treating it like it's a Tarantino flick. It's kind of like that, where the first game was funny with a serious story, and this one's just, it's funny because it's stupid. And I'm like, I don't know, those 2 things aren't the same, even though they're like working off the same sense of humor. It's by no means like a bad game. It's just, in a world where Enter the Gungeon exists, I would never recommend this game. Like, there's no way like you can compete with that one game, let alone all the ones I've never played. I was gonna list off a bunch of games in my review about it, but I just felt that was kind of pointless. Like, I've given you the tools to go and find that, but I'm not going to tell you like another game is great. I said I do bring up Enter the Gungeon, but I think like something like Iron Cryptical is a better twin stick shooter. It's technically a roguelike, but it's basically just Gauntlet. But like, it feels better to play. And it's still weird that like the game has technical issues. It's not that demanding of a game to my eyes, anyways. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff clearly going on, that I don't see coding wise, but Enter the Gungeon runs fine on my base PS4. Why does this Turnip Boy game that doesn't look as good not run very well on my Xbox One? And I mean, it's clearly because Xbox sucks, but it is, but it's odd. And then I'm like, I'm playing on Xbox One. The Switch is generally considered like lesser hardware. I'm sure there's a few things that it does better than the base Xbox One because it is newer, but
it could also be that like you're going to spend more time optimizing the ones that's going to sell.
Sure.
But it's also weird because it's on Game Pass, so you'd think they would put a little effort.
That's the other, and it's not on PlayStation at all.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't realize those games weren't on PlayStation.
No, the first one is. The first one's on everything.
But the second one isn't on PlayStation.
Yeah. Okay,
that's stupid.
Yeah, and I think I'm most critical, and I don't put this in my review because it's purely subjective. I can't in good faith, put that in a criticism, or it'll sound like just someone on a soapbox. But if you're gonna kind of move in a different direction and kind of make it seem like you're selling out, I'm not saying this person is, but like your character committed tax evasion in the first game. That is a great place to jump off of. Like, okay, well, the taxes were still owed, even though he fought the big bad at the end of the first game. So, because someone somewhere would absolutely still come to you to get your money. Right? That's how a collection agency works. It would have been great if the collection agency came in and this was Turnip Boy Sells Out, and it was just every game. You know what I mean? Like there's things you could do, like a Vampire Survivors clone where it's Turnip Boy, right? But the joke is that it is a sellout would have been much funnier to me, especially when like the best jokes in Turnip Boy, both of them, are the sort of more wittier, darker humor. Like you find in Robs a Bank, you can find the villain's son in the basement.
Of course.
In the basement of the bank in the dark. And he's like, I haven't seen my father. If you visit him, can you put this letter on the desk and tell him I love him? And it's just the uncomfortableness on this little Turnip Boy's face as this character is telling you that. And sure enough, I did it, and there was dialogue from the villain about his son. One of this older lady. I don't remember if she's a cherry. It's hard to tell some of the characters when they have like more like hats on or whatever. But she talks in like the uwu speak from the internet.
Oh God.
And it's the only time that Turnip Boy talks. She talks and hits on him, and he just says, please be quiet. It's the only time they give Turnip Boy dialogue is when he's telling her to shut up. Because he's not okay with it. And I'm like, okay, those are good, but then they'll do something where I'm like, I get it. It's a meme. It's not funny. To me, it's like this is like, okay, that's not great. I don't know, because I did play the first one after finishing, almost finishing Rob's Bank. I was like, okay, fuck this final segment. It wasn't fun to do. And then it was not fun to undo because they ask you to do a certain thing, and then they make you go back through the bank that they've just altered enough so you can't use the shortcuts you would normally use. You have to turn off all the things. And I'm like, oh, fuck this. I'm like, this whole game just constantly was like, hey, the area you've been through like multiple times because we always start in the same fucking spot in the bank, which is the entrance. You're going to have to keep going through this bank over and over and over again. It's like, I got it. You built the assets and you wanted to get the most out of them, but like this feels like busy work. Yeah. Anyways, Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion is absolutely worth your time if you want to play a Zelda game that's got some pretty good puzzles. The combat's okay. I'm not going to tell you it's as good as Zelda in that regard, but I thought it did some really interesting stuff. And I think that story was really well told. It's one of those you have to kind of read some of the documents that you can find around the world. They just kind of pop up when you walk up to them, unless it's something the Turnip Boy can rip up, in which case you have to do all 20 of those to get the final ending, or the real ending, I should say. But I even said to you, Ken, that you should play the first one, because the first one is like a really good time. Excuse me, it's only about like 4 hours too.
I do own it, so I did install it.
I was really impressed with like the second to last dungeon. Not so much for its design, but for what it does story-wise. It's something I'd never really seen in a game, and it works perfectly because Turnip Boy is so adorable. Like he's just this, he's a turnip with eyes and legs and a big smile. So yeah, that was it. I mean, none of the big blockbusters. I did pick up the new Like a Dragon, but I mean, really, come on, I'm not getting to that anytime soon. It's one of those, look, I have to buy it. Plus, because I'm picking up the PS4 copy, those are definitely not nearly as out there as the PS5s. Like, I called my GameStop and they're like, "We have one copy left." I'm like, "Please hold it. I'll be right there." So,
All right. We'll move on to the Wombat. Maybe.
Yeah, sorry. For some reason, it wouldn't unmute there for a second. So that was a lot of drama for not much payoff.
True.
I, I haven't really played much. So I'll just talk about a couple things briefly. I played a game on VR called First Person Tennis.
Tennis.
Yeah, and it was pretty fun. There's a free trial of it where you get to play for a half hour. It's $22. I'm not going to pay $22 for it.
Why are VR games such weird prices?
I don't know.
I think it's just because I think it's because they don't know what to price it as.
Yeah, but
Because
like,
it's probably worth more than they're charging. Too, I don't know. Now that you mention it, it's like always like 22, 26. Like, okay, there's numbers close to that are like end in zeros and fives.
yeah, like it's just weird to me.
Yeah, so I think probably for $10 I would buy it because it's got a career mode and a training mode and all that stuff, and the actual the tennis physics are pretty good. It's basically you've got several ways to set up the movement. You can move your arms back and forth to run, or you can teleport to wherever the balls hit. And so I played the teleport version. And it just kind of, the other person hits the ball, it teleports you, to the right spot on the court to be able to return it. And you got to swing, and it matters just like real tennis, what direction you're holding your racket, how hard you swing it, whether you put like backspin on it. The tennis physics are actually really good, surprisingly so. But it's just it's not something I would pay $22 for. But if it goes on sale or something for $10, I'll probably pick it up because the trial was fun. And then outside of that, the only other thing I've played is Baldur's Gate. I am cleaning up companion quests. So I have finished 3 of the companion quests at this point. And I'm just going through and cleaning up some other side quests and some companion quests before I sort of take on the last couple major ones. Man, that game is so freaking good. I mentioned it in the Discord, but for everybody listening as well. I think so all the companion quests are good. The companion quest for Will, it's a little weird compared to the other ones because it feels less personal to Will and more like it should have been a side quest in the game outside of his companion quest, and maybe his companion quest could have been something different. That's not necessarily a criticism. It's a little more disconnected from him than the rest of them are, but it has some relatively significant lore buried behind it. So it's definitely worth doing if you're in a playthrough where you've recruited Will. It's definitely worth doing because I think the payoff is a pretty cool boss fight and some pretty significant lore for the universe here. So definitely worth playing that. Outside of that, like I said, I'm pretty close to the end, just cleaning stuff up, and the game just continues to get better and better the deeper you go into it, and you start to get to a point, right, where all these decisions that you've made up till now are starting to pay off, and there's some big choices left to make. So I'm excited to finish it up and see how it ends. 70 hours, I think, is how much I have into it. And if I had to guess, I'd say there's probably another 10 hours to go, depending on what I do and cleaning up all the rest of the side quests and stuff. So I'd say probably maybe 10 to 15, depending on what all else I have to do. So the game is amazing and should be on everybody's list to play, except Ken's because he's a hater.
Hey, I played it. I was just not for me.
Yeah, no, it's fine. That's it. I haven't played.
Is it
I haven't
fine?
played anything else.
I don't think it's fine, but I think there's a problem. Ken, you need to play that game. Put on your big boy pants. Sit down.
Ain't nobody in the history of this show not have some games that their ass should have played, but didn't.
That's true.
Fair enough.
And y'all motherfuckers been on me about Baldur's Gate for like 6 months. I booted it up. I'm like, yeah, this is not my jam.
It's fine if it's not for you.
That's what I'm saying.
But yeah, that's it. I haven't played anything else.
All right. I'll just go through a couple quick things. I tried out that Phantom Abyss because like everybody was talking about it, and like the Indiana Jones thing came out, and they're like, "Oh man, I hope it controls like Phantom Abyss." I hope it doesn't control like Phantom Abyss because the whip mechanic in that game feels very stiff.
The Devolver game, right?
Yeah, where you're running through the levels, you got to jump and use the whip.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but like they're talking about the whip mechanic, and like it feels awkward.
Listen, whip mechanics were clearly perfected in Castlevania 64.
No, just no.
It's funny because the PS2 Castlevania game handles the whip much better.
Man, those PS2 games were hated, and I didn't think they were that bad.
They were.
And I reviewed one of them, and the one I reviewed, I don't remember which one it was so fucking
Did you use
boring.
a whip in it?
I don't remember.
Okay,
I'll look it up and I'll tell you which one it was. It was boring as hell.
Lament of Innocence and Curse of Darkness.
Yeah,
Curse of Darkness is the one that you monster collect.
Maybe the one I played was on Xbox. I don't remember.
They're the same.
I'll find
it's the same game. Xbox only got one of, or did they get both?
I think it only got Lament of Innocence.
Yeah, there was something weird about how like one of them didn't come out on Xbox. I don't remember.
But they were games that were made like I think it's come out since that he was basically given no more than what he got budget wise for the Game Boy games.
That's ridiculous.
So like they had to build a full ass Metroidvania PS2 game with a budget for a Game Boy Advance title.
Yeah. I don't think they're like highlights of Castlevania, but I don't think they're as bad as everybody makes them out to be.
There's some weird shit in those games that I appreciate.
They're a hell of a lot better than the 64 ones, I'll say that.
I don't have to
You don't have to try very hard, but yes. What else did I play? I might be addicted to Vampire Survivors now.
The game is so great.
Oh, I can't wait for you to unlock like the next tier of items.
Yeah.
I'm just like I'm trying to like I wasn't around for the zeitgeist of Vampire Survivors, so I don't know all the little tips and tricks. Like I'm just discovering the weapons and like experimenting to see what works. And so far garlic is the jam. Garlic is a good jam.
Garlic won't be your jam forever. You'll end up switching to once you figure out the combination to get the book upgraded, the book is so much better.
Well,
yeah, you gotta combine the different things to unlock new, better powers.
Okay, it doesn't like give you any hint of that when you're playing, but like
you will eventually get if you go into the pause menu. I don't know if it's there right away. You might have to buy it as an upgrade. But there's a like menu that shows you like things that you mix together and what you get from them, but they won't fill in until you've collected the parts for the first time.
Well, I have the map now. Like I can look at the map on the pause screen, and like I
The
can
map
find
is
the
not helpful
coffins.
until the I mean, the coffins are helpful, but like the map really comes into play when you have the next tier of items sort of unlocked. There's like a event thing that you do.
I've got 2 bonus levels open. I did the first one, which is just like plants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one. The one that is like there's a bunch of items just kind of strewed about.
The second one I got is the snow one.
Okay, there's a one that's like a blue room, and that is one that is easy to get to death on. Um, your first, let me guess, the first level you did where you like finished it was the library.
Oh yeah, the library I
Yeah,
did like
library is
86.
much easier.
Level 86 is what I hit on the library.
Yeah.
That game is fun.
By the way, the Castlevania game I reviewed on the original Xbox was Castlevania Curse of Darkness,
Oh, okay, all right.
and that game was boring as shit.
Well, that's where I was saying like the budget, like they basically had these bunch of rooms, but there was like nothing in them other than enemies because they had nothing else they could do money wise. But that one is really interesting. The further you get in, you start basically training your little fiends or whatever they're called. They had some specific name.
Yeah, they were devil forging. They were
Yeah, devil
innocent
forging.
devils.
Innocent devils. Oh,
that's what they were
but
called. Yeah,
but that turns into like basically like Digimon and Pokemon.
yeah.
So.
It was a lot like the mags in Phantasy Star Online.
Yeah.
I've never played Phantasy Star Online.
Oh,
I didn't like when
gosh.
it went. I didn't really like the new because like my Phantasy Star I saw was the RPGs, the top-down RPGs. So I was like, this is not Phantasy Star. This is like cyber.
Phantasy Star Online was so good.
Oh, we played the shit out of that back in the day.
Yep, I love that game.
Oh, and also I can finally talk about the 2 games I said I could talk about for 2 weeks. I'll start with Like a Dragon because I fell off of that game, and it's not because it's a bad game. I think it like if you like that first Like a Dragon, I mean you'll enjoy this one. My biggest issue with this game is that it accentuates the problems that series continues to have, which is, and of course I'm being hyperbolic here, but you didn't have like a 40-minute conversation about a fucking wrapper, a candy wrapper. Like these people just talk forever about nothing. Like something that could have been a 30-second conversation ends up being like a 5-minute.
The voice acted cutscenes too.
Yes, these are voice acted cutscenes.
Fuck! I thought it was like maybe text. I was like, okay.
There's a lot of the text ones too, but there are literal like full-on cutscenes where. And it's like, I love Ichiban, I think he's a great character, but does he really need to give the everything's going to be great speech every time you get in a conflict? Like, is that necessary? I don't know, and it literally probably takes 8 to 10 hours before that game gets going. And that is wild to me. Like, in the year of our Lord 2024, if your game ain't kicking within like an hour or 2, what are we doing? The combat is very much the same. The turn-based systems. You now have like where you can hit people into your teammates and it'll lock up a combo. You can knock them into the wall. It'll knock up a combo. There are 6,000 systems in this game that you will discover over the course of the. It reminds me a lot of Ni no Kuni 2, I think it was, or no, it was the first one, where like you were still getting tutorials of how to do new things like 40 hours into the game.
Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword is another good one. Yes, absolutely.
This is a rupee. Shut the fuck.
Oh yeah, like. I'm not even kidding. The rapper conversation was hyperbolic, but there is a scene where you have a conversation for about 5 minutes about picking up tickets off the ground. Like I don't need that much exposition about picking up a fucking ticket off the ground. It just drags, man. It makes you not want to play. At least me. Like I know I'm gonna say this and it's gonna make people angry, but the stuff that this game does, an, another open world game, let's just say Assassin's Creed or like Gotham Knights, would have been crucified for the decisions that are made. Like the things that you have to sit through in order to get a very minimal amount of information.
I'm trying to think of a game where like there's been a complaint, like the last big game that's had a complaint about sitting through cutscenes. I can only think of ones where people have said the cutscenes are bad. That's a bit different.
Like I don't have any problem with the characters and the cuts, at least until I got to a certain character in the game. I was using English voice because Ichiban's English voice actor is fine. But eventually a character shows up, and in case you don't know what it is, I'm not going to spoil it, and their American voice actor is so bad that I had to change it. I'm just like, I can't listen to this.
Are you talking about who I think you're talking about?
Yes, I'm talking about exactly who you think I'm talking about.
Okay, well, they're on the cover.
I understand that, but some people may have not played it. I don't make me say
I'm saying if you go to buy the game, you're spoiled.
I get it. I understand.
I understand what you're doing. I'm just saying, like, also people.
Well, yeah, I haven't played the first game, so.
Yeah, and like,
Sure.
there's a whole lot of story in here, and they do the thing which is good. Also, it's probably really hard for me because I'm coming off of The Man Who Erased His Name, and like that felt perfect to me. Like there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of good story, but it's really well wrapped in like a 20-hour package.
So I found a list of games with the longest cutscenes, and they actually give you the time. So I want to just call out the gamer for doing this research, I suppose. Legends of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel comes in at number 9 with 20-minute cutscene.
I mean, that sounds right.
Hold on. Next one up, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, 23 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2, 24 minutes. So, right after that, Xenosaga, 25 minutes.
I'm sensing a pattern here.
Oh, wait, Kingdom Hearts 3, 28 minutes. Can you imagine listening to anything Kingdom Hearts related for 28
Dude,
minutes?
I checked out after 28 seconds. I don't know what you're talking about.
The fucking heartless nobodies, and then people will be like, no, it makes sense. Does it?
The fact that it's
Does it
Roxas and Sora and...
But it's Sora X, but they're the same person.
You're nothing or whatever. Heartless shit. Oh my god.
Remember when this was just Disney and Final Fantasy coming together, and then it just turned into like pure chaos?
Doesn't the second game, like, sorry to derail, but doesn't the second game start off and you don't, like, with new characters you don't even know?
You're playing as Roxas in the
and like you don't even know who they are because the game never explained it to you.
Well, that's because you need to play the mobile game that was released in Japan only, back on flip phones. Come on, Ken.
Or watch the concert.
4. At least with Nier. At least with Nier, like all the little side stories that are in the novels and all that stuff are like just more stories in the universe. They are not mandatory knowledge for the next game in line. Oh, fuck. Death Stranding, 31 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that sounds right.
I don't remember which one that is.
I don't either, but I would not... It's probably one of the
Hartman.
The BB flashbacks?
No, Hartman.
Oh, Hartman, okay, yeah.
Remember, because it happens almost in real time?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the longest cutscene. At least there was a reason for it. Yakuza 0 comes in at 3 with 42-minute cutscene.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus, I wonder which one that is.
0.
Epilogue.
Jesus Christ.
42-minute epilogue after the final boss.
I think I know what number 1 is. I bet you I know what number 1 is.
Okay, so you don't know what number 2 is, though. You'll never guess it.
No.
Star Ocean: The Last Hope at 46 minutes.
Nah, fuck off. Nah.
Okay, So what's number one, Ken?
Metal Gear 4.
Yep.
Yep, Metal Gear Solid 4. The final cutscenes that are 71 minutes in length.
71.
Jesus, I fucking hate that game so much. I'm sorry. I know, like it's a masterpiece. It looks beautiful to this day. I get it. But I started up Metal Gear Solid 4 and I was like, I can't play this piece of shit.
Dude, Metal Gear Solid 4, I love that game. Don't get me wrong. But it literally is the definition of a game that sniffs its own ass.
I
100%.
It stopped that. So not only is the first cutscene way too long, it then stopped me for another cutscene after like 5 minutes of gameplay. What are you doing?
That is how I felt playing Infinite Wealth.
I hate that shit. So
I told you guys when I was reviewing it in the Discord, I was like, I've played this game for 3 hours. I've had 2 battles.
Yeah, that's it's yeah.
It's crazy.
No offense, Ken, but like I kind of hoped that it was just like a you thing. You know what I mean?
I hope it is too,
please,
because everybody
God.
else seems to love it, and maybe it get like the problem is that I was reviewing it, and like the same time I was playing Prince Persia and I was playing Tekken, which I'll talk about in a second, and like between those 3 games, Like a Dragon literally was like I didn't want to play it compared to the other 2. So like I just like every time I'd look at it, I'm like I should boot this up and play a couple hours. I'm like I really don't want to do that. And that sucks. And it's like I'll go back to it because I loved the first game until the difficulty spike. Difficulty spike pissed me off. And then like I'm looking at people's impressions of it after it came out. They're like, "Yeah, this is really good. It has one of those difficulty spikes again." I was like, "Just give me 10 more reasons I don't want to play this game." ah. It sucks too because there's so much crap in this game, and I think it's great. I think the characters are great. You know, it looks amazing. It just I love the humor. Man, it's hard to play. Sometimes it is, especially for somebody who doesn't have, 10 hours to blast through it on a day by itself. But I don't know. And then I played Tekken. I've been playing Tekken for like 2 weeks, and that game shits all over Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter in almost every way imaginable. Just the amount of content that is in
And they'll
this game.
still sell costumes, and it won't feel like as much of a ripoff because they've actually put out a good product.
Anthony, there are like 5 costumes per character already in the game, and over 1,000 customization items that you can just earn in the game.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that's Namco. Yeah, because they do that with Soul Calibur.
Yeah, there's like,
and then they still will sell you like DLC characters, but it doesn't feel scummy. But that's right. That's forgot they do that. I forgot they had the customization. That was added last? No, that was added on like the
5.
PS2.
I think it was 5. Yeah, that when they started that.
5 was the one that came with like the first 3 games and then the Devil Saga thing.
Yeah. And
that's when I tried to play it, and I was like, man, Tekken ain't for me.
Just like the amount of, like all of that stuff is in the game, and it's like you can just earn the in-game currency just by playing it, and you can just use it to spend for whatever customization item you want, and you can have up to like 8 slots per character for customized costumes. You also get 4 default costumes right out of the box.
Costumes.
You've got the arcade mode, which is in there. You've got the time attack. You've got the verses. You've also got what are called character episodes, where you can play through as every character 5 matches, and then you get a cutscene, a CGI cutscene, so you get an ending for all. And the base roster is 32 characters, which is crazy. There's a full-on.
So that mode is like the non-canon stuff.
Yeah, so like the little character stories.
Where where Lizard Man received Soul Edge and now rules the world with his fellow lizard men.
Oh yeah, it's 100% that, and it's 100% stupid. Like there's one ending where one of the characters that likes tea and one of the characters that likes coffee has a fight over which is better, and then they feed it to a llama. It's fucking Tekken, man.
Yep.
There's the story mode, which is like 3 hours of just utterly insane nonsense, and it's there's like a Mad Max scene in it, which is crazy. You've got Tekken Ball, you've got online, you've got this new tutorial mode called Arcade. Was it Arcade Journey or something like that, where basically you pick an avatar and you go to arcades and you learn Tekken fighting. So like it teaches you how to do the heat gauge and it teaches you how to do combos and stuff like that, all by learning from other people in the arcade. And on top of that, the game looks incredible. Like it's one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Like if you like Tekken, if you like fighting games in general, you absolutely have to get this game. It is so good. So yeah, that's another reason why I didn't want to play Like a Dragon Deluxe. I was too busy playing Tekken. It fucking rules. And
Excited.
then yeah, no, Tekken 8 is really really good. Definitely pick that one up. And that's it. That's I played a couple other indie games. Nothing really stood out. I did pick up Agalos finally because it was like $2 on the Xbox store, so I'm gonna play that. I always wanted to play that, but I never got around to playing it. And I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So let's talk about what's out this week. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. We've got Brotato. I don't know what that is. Everybody talks about that game, but I have no idea what it is.
I have no idea what it is either.
You know what? I'm thinking of the wrong game. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I remember this. No, I remember Potato Man Seeks the Truth.
What is it with you and vegetable video games?
Dude, okay, so Potato Boy Seeks the Truth was like a weird meme thing in the like indie game community at one point, which I was like following intently. So it was just this like weird run to the right of the screen game, but I don't know, Potato Man, I guess it was funny at the time. Brotato is Vampire Survivors.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, with overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam.
Huh. Well, it's on Game Pass, so.
It's on my phone because I think my son downloaded it at some point. So at some point I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass, so fuck it, I'll check it out.
Hold on, I recognize the. Huh. Okay. It's Blobfish Games, and their other stuff was also potato related. So.
Man, they must be
somebody
Irish.
there just really likes potatoes.
I suppose so. That and it's easy to draw. Yeah, this round blob, it's potato. All right.
It is actually kind of a big week for releases. So we got Dead by Daylight, Alan Wake crossover. For people who bought the stupid edition, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League is out on Tuesday. Lost Legends of Redwall, the Scout anthology. Song of Nunu, a League of Legends story.
It's still weird that a Redwall game is being made and released in 2024. The author's been dead for a decade, I think.
Huh. Well, licenses, man. They're crazy. Speed Crew, Gensha, Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash, Mighty Aphid 2, Persona 3 Reload, Project Down.
I have a question for you quickly. It has nothing to do with the actual game, but every time you see Jujutsu Kaisen, do you not think of that what was that? Chuto Chojin?
Oh, Cocteau Chojin?
Cocteau Chojin.
Yeah, that's what I keep thinking of. Every time I read that, that's what my brain goes to.
My son has already pre-ordered this Jujutsu Kaisen game. He is over the moon excited for it.
Terrence is excited for it too. Like I don't even know what the fuck it is.
I can't hear it without thinking of Jason Gambrell and Super Robot Tyson.
He's been messaging me like once every couple of days and just like
tell him to get his ass back on the show.
Dude, I respond to him all the time and that man will like he'll message me and then like 2 weeks he'll just disappear. I don't know what's going on with him. Project Downfall, and then Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League is out in full on Friday. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. What else we got here? Piggy Gambit. Are you excited for Piggy Gambit? PlayStation
Sure.
PlayStation 4 and Xbox One continue to dwindle. There's nothing on here that's not on PS5. Let's check Xbox One. Teppo and the Secret Ancient City. Knights of Braveland, and that's it. Everything else is now. We're almost over cross-gen. Almost. 4 years in, we're almost over.
Almost.
Nintendo Switch, we've got Counter Shooter Strike Zone, Zombie Football Simulator, just in time for the Super Bowl. Big Watermelon Match, Eastward Octopia, Cubic, Miniland Adventure, 7, Turret Rampage, Candy Shake Cup, Seba, Defense Master, Harpoon Shooter Nozomi, Japanese Escape Games The Police Office, 5 Knights of Braveland games. What is that?
No idea.
There's 5 of them. We got Knights of Braveland Around the World, Fantastic Beasts, Fun and Memes, and Hero Pack. Okay.
All right. That's a lot of games.
That is a lot of games in a series for one. Dr. Frank's Build a Boyfriend. Dream.
Okay, is that so? So I need to I need to ask: is what type of game do you think it is?
Visual novel.
A Frankenstein dating simulator.
That'd be pretty good, wouldn't it?
Wow! I mean, both are correct.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could get that Frankenstein 2D game from the Super Nintendo Genesis era, the Robert De Niro one. We need to do that.
Yeah.
Robert De Niro one?
Yeah, the Robert De Niro Frankenstein.
Yeah, they
movie.
made a movie.
They made a game.
Oh, sorry. You know what? Okay, yeah, no, I was thinking of something else game-wise and confusing it because there was a Frankenstein platformer for Super Nintendo too, right?
Yeah, Dr. Franken.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking of, and I was like, I don't think Robert De Niro was tied into that.
No, different Frankensteins. Different Frankenstein. Dream Cutter, Farm Day Simulator 2024. The big Switch game, Postal Brain Damaged, is out. And then the Pigeon Simulator. In case you want to simulate a pigeon. And that's it.
Okay.
Alright, let's do the news. We're kicking off with Xbox. This is going to be a bumpy ride. Let's do this. We'll start with positive. ID at Xbox announced Indie Selects. It's a new way for ID at Xbox to spotlight indie games. It's a curated collection of indie titles on the store with more support on socials. A new collection comes each Wednesday. 6 indie games of the month are chosen at the end of the month. It's a good way to get those games out there. It's like Anthony said, you don't have time to be fine in 2024.
I mean, 2024 looks even worse than 2023 did for releases.
Yeah, so far, and we're only at January.
Because we didn't, and this isn't like a slight. We didn't really have a bunch of first-party stuff outside of Spider-Man, really, right? Like from the big two,
Starfield and Forza. I mean,
okay, Starfield was not the success they wanted it to be.
No, but it was still a big
Forza.
game. It was still a
no,
big
but
game.
I'm just saying it wasn't like. I don't think the collective conversation was positive about those games.
No, but the conversation about Starfield still hasn't ended. So.
No, I suppose. But, I'm pretty sure this disproves the idea that all publicity is good publicity.
I mean, it sold a lot, so who knows?
Yeah.
Microsoft added touch controls to the Xbox app beta version on Android and iOS this week. The user can now control their console remotely or play games on their phones without a controller.
That sounds miserable, but
Yeah.
I'm glad it's there.
Yeah, it sounds miserable. All right, the big story this week. Microsoft laid off 1,900 people from its video game workforce. Mike Ibarra and Alan Adham are leaving Blizzard. Blizzard's previously announced survival game has also been canceled, but they're shifting some of the people working on it to one of the several promising new projects Blizzard has in the early stages of development. You know, those games due out in 2030.
Right.
Bloomberg says the survival game.
No, it's those games that they're talking about are actually just new ways to ruin Overwatch.
I mean, that's probably going to happen. Blizzard's survival game Odyssey was in development for 6 years, started on Unreal, then switched to Synapse. Was kind of like a Rust/Minecraft with up to 100 players. The developers had hoped Microsoft would let them go back to Unreal. They had planned to add hundreds of devs to the project to hit a 2026 release. Jesus Christ. Oh, this thing is a mess. Just like going through the tweets and stuff, it seems like the teams most impacted were in Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, for sure.
Quite a lot of the Overwatch team and the Call of Duty like side teams. What was it? We saw that one like Toys for Bob lost like 30% of their devs or something.
Yeah, I think it was 40%. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, and a lot of I saw a lot of just anecdotally a lot of folks that were from like level design teams saying that they were let go. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's no guarantee that without the merger that people wouldn't have gotten laid off at Activision Blizzard. But I mean, the reality is post-merger, this was almost guaranteed.
Oh, 100%. It doesn't make it good, but it's going to happen.
Of course not. Yeah, it actually makes it very bad in how predictable it was. But I mean, it unfortunately will not be the last. And that's one of the consequences of the industry becoming more and more consolidated. It's gonna continue happening.
We've seen it 1,000 times at this point. You know, when PlayStation bought Bungie, they laid off a bunch of people. Like Riot just laid off a bunch of people. Twitch laid off a bunch of people. Like it's just Embracer bought all those companies and basically killed all of them.
Yep.
It's disgusting. I do know, because I follow Overwatch pretty heavily, that the biggest team that took the hit over there were the narrative and single player team. Shocker there.
Shocker.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen at this point with some of these games. I don't know. And then, like, there was that story floating around that Microsoft fired a bunch of people on the physical game team, which ended up getting a little debunked that, like, they were getting out of physical games. But let's all be fair. We know where Microsoft is going with the Xbox. That shit's going to be digital.
Yeah.
I saw a stat the other day that only 10% of Xbox people who buy games buy them physical. As opposed to, I think Nintendo's at like 40 or 50%, and PlayStation's at like 30 or 40%, but like Xbox is like 10%.
I'm going to say, though, like Xbox, since the beginning of the Xbox One, had less physical games for sale.
Yes.
So it's not really a new thing. Like, you would see like multi-platform games, and they'd be physical on Switch and PS4 and not Xbox. And I'm not even talking limited run. I'm talking like just games you could buy at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, and they didn't help their case with Hellblade being digital only. And do you realize that 2 of their first-party games do not have physical versions on Xbox, but one of them has a physical version on PlayStation, which is Ghostwire Tokyo?
wow. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that does not have a physical Xbox version, but it does have a physical PlayStation version. Which is crazy, because they own the game.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, it's a bad time over at Xbox. It had a lot of people not feeling great about where they're going, and they really need to show that they are. Like, this is a good time for Phil Spencer to get out there and do an interview, because a lot of people are not really happy right now. Nintendo news, they're going to drop a Legend of Zelda orchestral concert on YouTube on February 9th. want to watch that. They're also shutting down online servers for Nintendo 3DS and Wii U on April 8th of 2024. So it's time to get your purchases in. You'll still be able to download stuff, but yeah. Nintendo also announced pastel pink Joy-Cons releasing March 22nd. Prince of Persia Lost Crown senior game designer said he would love to do a Zelda spinoff. Personally, I would love to work with the Zelda IP. Maybe a strange spinoff based on Adventure of Link. Oh, man. That would be cool.
Huh.
Shigeru Miyamoto and Eiji Aonuma were spotted in an Instagram video from Universal Studios Orlando. I don't know why that's a news story. They're not. Okay. Never mind. F-Zero 99 got a small update with secret tracks and private lobbies. And the Switch 2 rumor for this week is that according to Omdia analyst Hiroshi Hayase, the next Nintendo console will launch this year with an 8-inch LCD screen. Of course it's launching with an LCD screen so they can say an OLED model in 3 years.
Of course.
What are you thinking?
That's what we do now.
That's right. You give the early adopters the junk version, and then you get them again on the back end.
Correct.
What else we got here? PlayStation news. Sony CEO Kenichiro Yoshida said players will be able to play their favorite game wherever there is computing. They will expand their business to PC, mobile, and cloud, but PlayStation will remain the core product. A couple rumors here. Death Stranding 2 is called Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. we'll be getting new info in the next 15 days.
Death Stranding 2 on the beach.
On the beach. I mean, if you played the first game, you understand the relevance of that title, but it's still funny.
It sounds like it would be an Elvis movie.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm on the beach. Also, baby. Until Dawn is getting a PS5 and PC release. Also should be in the next. I'm thinking there's a state of play coming in the next 15 days. What do you think?
I'm guessing you're right.
Yeah. My sources have told me there will be a Nintendo Direct in 2024. I've never been wrong. Just throwing that out there. Releases. Splatoon 3 Side Order DLC is launching February 22nd. Nintendo never talks about Splatoon anymore. It's weird. Is it just me? Like, I don't feel like they've talked about that game in like a year.
No, yeah, it's.
I feel like it was the same with Splatoon 2 until the DLC came out.
It's just weird. They used to do like social tweets of like, here's the ketchup versus mustard fight. Like, I don't see that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely not as vocal about it.
Umbra Claw launches May 30th. I don't even know what that is. Freedom Planet 2 launches April 4th on consoles. Death Stranding Director's Cut launches January 31st on iPhone, iPad, and Mac. Dude, don't ask me. You can play it on the beach, though, you know. Turbo Overkill is coming to consoles. WWE 2K24 launches March 8th.
Yep, and they did a weird, goofy CGI commercial with CGI Stone Cold Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan faces over top of footage. It looked really terrible.
I saw Anthony's comment in the chat. What? What the fuck?
Do you not know about that?
No. What are you referencing?
That was like a thing. Goes Hawaiian. I want to say it was like the original sequel plans.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. Here it is. Hold on.
Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
You know, I was just talking to somebody who went and saw the Beetlejuice off-Broadway play. And so we were reminiscing about the Beetlejuice cartoon, which I loved.
Oh man, that thing was so good.
Yep.
I used to watch that as a kid. Oh.
Okay, so here it is. The idea of a movie sequel for Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian came around as early as 1990. The script, written by Jonathan Gems, followed the Dietz family as they moved to Hawaii to develop a vacation resort. As construction begins, it's quickly found that the resort is being planned atop an ancient burial ground. Enter Beetlejuice, who would accidentally awake native spirits and cause mayhem.
I'd watch that. Shit.
Yeah.
I love the first Beetlejuice movie. Ours, Sunkissed City is coming to Steam consoles at a later date. Our Zeddy, the Jewel of Faramore, launches on February 14th. That's the CDI style game from Limited Run Games.
I mean, Godspeed. Hopefully that game plays better than those.
Berserker Boy launches March 6th. Anthony sent me this. This is totally my jam. I will play this game.
It's Ryan's jam too.
Yeah,
it's Mega Man.
Berserker Boy.
Berserker Boy.
Okay.
Yeah, this game.
It's Mega Man.
It's Mega Man, and it's got some fucking wicked like art style, like really like Saturday morning cartoon kind of art. It looks good. Looks real good.
Interesting.
It's got a bit of speed too, so like at moments it kind of like looked like he was doing like Sonic stuff by grinding on rails.
I mean, you just killed Ryan's interest. What are you doing?
No, I mean like. I don't know. It didn't feel fully like Mega Man to me. It felt like an amalgamation of like a bunch of stuff. I can't remember what the other one was I was thinking of.
Yeah, you should definitely look up a trailer for this because like as soon as you see it, you'll be like, yeah, I'll play that.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Balatro launches February 20th. Candy Rangers coming later this year. Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition coming to PC on March 21st. That's how much Sony cares about their PC games. This was dropped on a random Thursday on Twitter. Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit is a new game for the 10th anniversary. It's a 2D side-scroller with pixel art. That's weird.
It is a little weird.
What else we got here? Earth Defense Force 6 with English voiceover and subtitle launches March 14th in Asia. Western release still TBA for spring 2024.
I mean, I'm assuming it's just going to be like 5. Those games kept coming out, and then they should have taken bigger breaks to, really change up the format or design or style. Man, I used to love those games. Now every time I hear about one, I'm just like, oh, okay.
Inti Creates will reveal a new game at PAX East 2024. They're currently working on Umbra Claw and Gunvolt Records Side Chronicle. Fantastic, the developer behind The Day Before, said the game was a victim of a hate campaign by certain bloggers, and that's why it failed.
Yeah, your shit sucked, so people hated it. That's the hate campaign.
What was the?
Sorry, what game? What game was this?
The Day Before.
The Day Before.
Oh yeah, your game didn't work like you said it was going to work, dummy. That's how that works.
What was the game? What was the game that was announced this week? That was like we announced the release date and the closing date. Do you remember seeing that?
Oh yeah, that was some. Was it Chinese MMO?
It's just so funny to me that you would announce the release, and like they're within 3 months of each other. So,
right.
Video games are fucking wild right now, man.
Okay,
yeah,
I
there
found
was something.
It's here it is. Global launch notice. We are excited to break the news to you that the global version of Love Live School Idol Festival 2 Miracle Live, I'm assuming because we've said live in whatever, is launching soon in February 2024. However, we also want to inform you that the global version will close its doors on May 31st, 2024 and cease in-app purchases accordingly. We appreciate the love and support you've shown, and we're committed to making these last few months an unforgettable moment. Last few months, it's your only months.
Apparently, it's been running overseas So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with it, but yeah, I read a little bit more about it that didn't exactly make sense, but made it a little less super goofy. But I don't now remember what the story was. Something about a version that they had running overseas, and they had to put this out. I don't know. I'll have to look it up, but it's not something I cared enough about to really dig into.
Pal
If I'm
World.
being honest.
No, that's fair. Pal World continues to sell like fucking hotcakes. The Pokemon Company finally made a statement which read like, "Yeah, we saw it. We're not going to do anything." And then Pocket Pair, the company who makes Pal World, announced their upcoming roadmap, which includes new pals, islands, and tech, improving the Xbox version, raid bosses, PvP, PvP for pals, and crossplay. So that game like sold like almost 10 million copies so far. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What else we got here? CD Projekt Red is planning to start production on the next Witcher game, codenamed Polaris, this year. All right.
Yay.
Focus Entertainment will rename themselves to Pull Up Entertainment on April 1st, 2024.
So weird.
Pull Up Entertainment, like the it's spelled the same. It's what do they call those when they're spelled the same forward and backward?
A
dumb name for your company.
Palindrome.
Palindrome. That's what I'm trying to think of. Yes.
My answer was correct too.
Yeah.
Pull Up is a bad name.
It's a terrible name for a video game company. It's a fine name for like the kind of pants you would put on a toddler who hasn't learned to pee in the toilet yet. But
it also would make sense if you were a bunch of like mustachioed barbell guys just doing pull-ups all day.
Pull up.
Yeah,
correct.
Pull up.
Perhaps they are.
You don't know. You don't know.
I don't. You're correct.
As of today, Apple is opening the App Store to allow streaming apps like GeForce Now and Xbox Cloud streaming. So that's pretty cool. Near Reincarnation in service on April 29th, 2024. Riot announced they're laying off 530 people, or 11% of its workforce. Piranha Bytes are commenting on their closure. Yes, it's true. Piranha Bytes are in a difficult situation. There are a lot of news about us circulating right now, and this is our answer. Don't write us off yet. Recon Games, the company behind Ruiner, laid off 60 to 70 people, which is 80% of their workforce. Black Forest Games, the guys who made Destroy All Humans 1 and 2 remakes, and TMNT The Last Ronin laid off around 50 people, which is 50% of its workforce. And People Can Fly laid off over 30 people who worked on an unannounced title for Square Enix.
Okay.
What else we got here? For Honor passed 35 million players. Jesus Christ. I cannot believe that game is still going.
I know. I'm amazed that game is still running.
Jesus.
Good for them, I guess, but
no, 100%. I did see. So there's a people like back in the old days when they used to like spider websites to like look at the code. Visions of Mana is rumored to be coming to Xbox Game Pass.
Okay.
Which would be pretty cool.
Would be pretty cool.
And that's all I got. That's all the news. I do have an email. It comes from Francisco. He says, "Hello, ZTGD cast. I hope things are going well. I've been meaning to write, but I've been in the mountains and desert for the last 2 weeks. No phone signal, sleeping in tents, and disconnecting from the world for a bit."
Oh, that sounds enjoyable.
It does. He says, "Sometimes you just need a small reset." Anyway, a few weeks back there was a podcast with a spirited conversation about Star Wars, and if that is how the convos are going to go, I am all in. I can't wait for the flurry of N-words from Terrence. Very excited. He's talking about your After Dark podcast that's never happening.
Yeah.
I know.
I wish Terrence was here for that.
Yeah. He says in terms of AL or AI, sorry. Well, I'm an amateur photographer.
Al too.
I'm an amateur photographer, and AI in the photographer space is also an issue. People are getting caught entering AI generated pictures in contests, and people calling themselves digital or e artists while using AI generated content is really becoming a huge issue. Ryan is right about how eventually, if we continue to use AI to generate things, eventually things will dilute things so much that everything will become stale with zero
Yep.
innovation.
Correct.
The other huge issue now is that might solve this AI crisis is that right now companies are allowing regular people to use their tools and AI to create things for free and really cheap. But the dirty secret of AI is that it requires huge computational power that big companies like Microsoft and Meta or Amazon provide for free or cheap. But what about when people will be required to pay a premium? Maybe it will slow down, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
If you don't think they're collecting data every time you prompt
Oh yeah,
their
100%.
AI, this is the key. And I know people say it, but they say it in a cheesy way. If if a product's free, you're the product. Like, wow, that's a deep way of putting it. The reality is like YouTube, the data it collects is worthwhile keeping, even though it doesn't make a lot of money. Like, it doesn't make financial sense to have YouTube running, but it's a great place to collect data. So, Google keeps it afloat, because it does not generate enough revenue. If you look at the numbers of what is uploaded and what is watched, like, money wise, it would never make sense. The same was for the same thing was going for Twitter before the new owner kind of just buried anything that was worthwhile in data wise under like a pile of crap. But that's the reason why they are willing to let you have fun with AI. Like, yeah, generate images, because one, you don't own it, so if they wanted to use it, they could. Two, they don't own the images they're running through generally, because it's just scraping internet. Um, and like it's a great way to collect your data. What are you thinking about? What are you creatively doing? I'm sorry, I hate this. I hate the fact that these conversations even happen. Like, I
I
hate
just
AI.
find it funny when people think they're artists because they type stuff into an
Oh
AI
God,
generator.
I mean, it
Yeah.
is unfortunate, but yeah, the people that think like that I've seen two ways of putting it. Like, oh, I'm getting better at prompting, which to me is like, just spend that time becoming a better artist. Like, actually draw, and in the time that it takes for tech to meet up to your expectations, you'll be a better artist. Or by the time you learn to prompt better, you'd be a better artist. Like,
I don't know. I
uh,
don't know if you all saw this, and maybe this will stir some shit. But the Taylor Swift controversy that happened this week.
Oh yeah, that
yeah,
was crazy.
Yeah, like
yep.
that dude was on blast, and like if she goes after legal action, that could be big.
Oh yeah, he's. I mean, they had the dude on CNN. He's toast.
Yeah. So maybe that'll get
Yeah,
some fires lit.
and like, you know what? Like, I don't know. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, so if I'm hearing about news, she also had to deal with a stalker too.
Oh yeah,
Isn't he? Isn't it just great to be alive in with all these terrible people? Fucking hate it.
yeah,
Like,
it's
don't
awesome.
leave people. Leave her the fuck alone. Like, at the end of the day, she's still a person. Like, and just the fact that they let him go. They let him go, and they let him go on bond. And what did he do? Come on, like, you'd arrested him so many times before too, and been talked to. Oh fuck! Please just.
People are weird, man.
He can't be. Some people cannot be trusted. Okay, you cannot put them back out into the world. You know exactly what they're going to do.
Yep.
Like this guy with the AI thing. Like,
He did it
unless they
before. He
really,
just didn't do it
yeah,
on somebody
exactly,
this big. So
right. So it's like, he didn't learn, because he definitely was called out. Because I remember when that conversation started happening, and it was like, nothing changed. It might after he gets sued into oblivion,
yeah,
but
that's
but is it
possible.
going to stop the next person? No.
Probably not.
Shit.
Right.
He says, for Terrence, I'm still playing Everspace 2, 35 hours in. I've only done 2 main story missions. Great game. Plan to 100% it.
Have you played
It's
that?
on my list.
Ryan? Okay.
No, it's on my list. Terrence keeps telling me that I need to play it, and then I
Isn't it,
big fat don't. So
the little bit I know about it sounds like a very much like, oh, this is that type of Ryan game where he's like, comes to the podcast and it's the only thing he has played.
yes, yeah, that's what. Based on what Terrence has said, it sounds likely that that would be the case. But no, I have not played it.
Have you played any of the X games either?
Any of the what?
The X. I hate. There's a series called X, and it was like a space sim.
Not that I remember.
Okay, it's all it's all from the cockpit view. It's that type of game. You fly around. There's an economy. Blah blah blah.
Gotcha. Kind of like Freelancer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I haven't played those.
Some combat, all that stuff. I don't remember which one. One of the newer ones is like I've been told never to buy because it's terrible. But like I bought that pack for like maybe $10 on Steam, and it had like 4 of the titles in it. Just something to put on the list. I know.
More lists.
Yep.
That's what we need. More games.
Something to put it on the list.
Just
Yep.
like Ryan's currently taping another sheet of paper to the bottom.
He says, Pal World, while controversial, is actually very fun. I was able to get a dedicated server going on my home server that all my friends and I play in, and hopefully if the game gets taken down, I just won't lose the ability to play it. This game ain't going nowhere.
It's not getting taken down.
I never thought the game was going to get taken down. I figured they were going to hear some like, hey, look, you're getting really close to our designs, and before we just go to court, you might want to fix that. Because generally you kind of have to warn people, although it might be different in Japan, about an infringement, because it's really hard to prove intent. So I figured that would happen first. It just sucks. I really wish I could be happy for how well the game is doing, and I don't begrudge anyone playing it. It just sucks that like I can't be happy for their success because it's kind of scummy in my opinion. Like on a moral level, not even a legal one, just a moral level. I just look at it and I go, I don't know. And then knowing kind of what that this is kind of what they do is just kind of rip off other people because their previous game like ripped off Zelda a lot. It's just hard to root for that person having success.
Lastly, I'm not sure if you guys have talked about it, but the Switch MIG card, how are we feeling about it? I'm tempted to invest in it, but Nintendo is very good about blocking stuff like this.
Yeah. Do either of you know what that is?
I've seen a bunch of people talk about the MIG card. It's kind of like an EverDrive, isn't it?
It's a never drive, essentially.
Yeah.
It's a cart you put a micro SD in, and you can play games off of it. And I've heard, although how long that'll stay true, I don't know, that you don't need to mod the system.
It's kind of like a boot disc, almost.
Oh, yeah, in some way. I don't know exactly how it works. My thing is that like when a console's like, I'd argue if it weren't for the fact that it's so weird, this console generation is now kind of like still split between the old consoles and the new. The old consoles haven't exited. Usually you get like, a couple months of support, but we are coming up on like what, a year and a half. But I think it's okay once the old console is sort of off the market to kind of invest in this stuff. So I wouldn't look at it until support for the Switch is kind of dead and gone.
Which could be another decade, considering if the new one's backwards compatible.
Right. So like that's the reason why like after they closed the 3DS shop, I was like, I don't care now because anything I'm buying isn't new in store. It'll all be secondhand. So no one's gonna make money off me. And I spent a lot of money on the 3DS shop before it closed because there was games I wanted. A lot of the Shin Megami Tensei stuff, just it wasn't even so much of I'm going to play this right away. It's just that like these are in series that I've played other games in it, and I want to make sure I have it just in case. But I wasn't afraid to spend the money because I knew there were also quality games. But then, was I going to go out and hunt down, or was going to go out and buy the digital versions of Pokemon? No, I don't. I don't play those games and get like obsessed with them the same way. I can kind of play one and be done with it. So I modded my 3DS. There's no legal way to obtain any of this where the money's still going to the developer or the publisher. So I'm okay with it. It's kind of not the same case when, the Switch is still Nintendo's main console.
Yeah.
It's a little weird that it's also announced. Like, Nintendo's still focusing here. I think that's also part of it too. Is like it feels like I'm gonna be put on a list.
Yeah, one of several lists for you.
Like just right away, like Nintendo's like, oh, that IP blocked or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mess with
yet.
this stuff until it's like unavailable. Like, trying to play 3DO games in the year of our Lord 2024 is not a thing you can just do. So like,
not that you want to either.
I do. I don't play no shit.
What are you playing on 3DO that's like best played on 3DO?
I mean, Road Rash is the best version on 3DO.
That's still asking a lot for Road Rash, in my opinion.
Oh man, Road Rash is a great game. Don't you?
It's good. It's good. I don't know if I'd go through that work to play Road Rash.
I mean, it ain't a lot of work. I think I've got the entire 3DO library. I could just play it.
Is the emulation good on it though?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised. Most of those, like the CDI and stuff, don't have.
CDI works okay. 3DO,
okay. That's what I've heard.
The only game that is like notoriously doesn't work on the 3DO is Crash and Burn. Like it just loops the intro over and over again. You can't actually play it.
What was there not another CD console around the same time, or was that?
You're probably just thinking of the multiple versions of the 3DO or the CDI. Like CDI had like 3 versions.
Yeah, because they were all because both of them.
They didn't make hardware.
Philips will make this CD. Philips did make the CDI, but yeah, I think they licensed it too.
Yeah,
and then 3DO was only licensed. That's right.
Yeah,
that's probably
what Gold Star, Sanyo, and.
You know what? I'm probably also thinking of Sega CD because that was also kind of a pile of shit.
I've been playing the shit out of Sega CD lately. I've been playing
Panic. No, I remember what it was. It was the Atari Jaguar is what I was thinking of.
Oh, the Jaguar CD?
CD.
The emulation on that is terrible, but there's only like 5 games, so.
Okay. That's what I was thinking of. I'm like, no, the emulation on Sega CD was good too. But that's the one. It was the Jaguar CD.
Jaguar CD emulation.
But Jaguar emulation's not great either, right?
Well, it is now, since the guy who built PMU, the guy that worked for digital.
Oh yeah, he released that publicly.
Yeah, that's public. You can use it.
Oh shit!
And he made it.
I didn't know that.
He made it compatible with all Jaguar CD, but I still have trouble running them.
Okay.
Like if I boot up Primal Rage, like I can't play it. Like it just runs the demo and I can't do anything. So I don't know.
Huh. Anyways, that's okay. Well, I'm glad to know that 3DO doesn't completely suck.
No, 3DO seems to run fine except for Crash and Burn. I can never get Crash and Burn to work. But, I don't feel like I'm missing a whole lot, so. All right, let's do some tweets and get out of here. Shogun says, Trinity Fusion, I bought this game because it looked like Mega Man, and then I discovered it was a roguelike. This one hooked me in for $20. This is a blast. The story is actually really good. Question, with all these layoffs and budget cuts, do you see AA games making a resurgence?
Yeah, I mean, but not, resurgence in the sense that I hope that we'll see some of these folks that have been laid off joining up together to create some new smaller games. But
100%, yeah.
It's not going to be, resurgence, I guess, is probably a little strong.
Yeah, and we go back to the Anthony problem of like, you've really got to stand out in 2024. Otherwise,
100%.
Yeah, you're just gonna.
But you can stand out in different ways, right? You can I would say that most of PlayStation, and I'm not trying to take a shit on the games, but most of PlayStation stuff stands out because of how detailed everything is, right? Like that is how realistic their games look is a big part of the selling feature. I wouldn't say that the mechanics of the gameplay are necessarily all unique, but then you play something like Vampire Survivors, where like graphically, it really isn't a looker. But the gameplay loop is original in a way that like isn't really done. Now it is, of course, by a bunch of people. And you know, it was simple and like quick to play, but then had a lot of depth. So like you can stand out in multiple ways. It's just when you choose to be both middle of the road in terms of like graphic design, which again, not everybody's an artist that makes a game, so that's, you know, but then, you know, I wouldn't also then just copy or do something that's already been done before too.
Yeah,
Which is my problem with Turnip Boy. It doesn't look as good as the first game, and it doesn't play as fun as the games it's emulating.
It's a fine line to walk, and it's hard, but like the Macho Man always said, the cream will rise to the top.
It will rise to the top. That's true.
I will say this though about AA games. I think it's going to be a while before we get AA games again, because we had our AA publisher, and it was THQ Nordic. And guess who? Where a ton of fucking layoffs are coming. They're like fucking closings of studios. You know, so like your AA publisher, they're dying, like, because Embracer expected this big increase of money, and I guess spent way too much of their own in, I don't know. Like, I don't know how that happens. Like, I don't know why you would spend more than you have as a company when you're not generating enough revenue to make it back, then hope that everything is based on a merger. But, you know, I guess I'm not in business, so maybe it makes sense there. But that's who was doing all that stuff. Like, Darksiders is not a AAA name, right? It had one great game, and then the sequel came out, and it was okay, and you know, it kind of faded away because the publisher
People forgot
died,
they made a third and fourth game.
But yeah, like they made a third and fourth game in that series, and like nobody talks about Genesis, and barely any talks about 3, and you can pick those games up for like $8 a piece. Actually, probably 5 because that was the Canadian conversion. So, you know, and then they were doing remasters of The Blob, which like was a bigger game when it came out on the Wii, right? Like Cine Mora, they released that at one point. They were doing Outcast. They were bringing back Time Splitters. You know, Time Splitters is not a AAA title, and that's not happening anymore because that studio closed under them. So I don't think you'll see a ton of AA, but I think you might see some very independent projects from these people, and that's where I think you get stuff like Stardew Valley. Like there'll be something else like that comes out from an indie dev in the next little while, I'm sure, who is one of those people that are left go that'll, you know, set the world on fire. That seems to be the case a lot of the times.
All right. This one should be fun. Hopefully it won't go too long. Shogun says, the great physical debate. I've been digital since Xbox One. It's just easier for my life. I'm also a PC gamer. I understand the concern, but most of these games can't be played with just the disc. Gamers are now sounding like boomers being afraid of change. PC and mobile make up the majority of the gaming market, and they're all digital. The last holdout are consoles. This is an inevitable end, just like when people complained about DRM and always online. We now accept it as normal. All your base are belong to us.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a difference between this is the direction the world is going in, and this is the direction the world is going in. How awesome is it? Like, yes, that you are correct. The direction the world is going in is all digital. The direction the world is going in is that you don't own anything, you rent everything. The direction the world is going in is that if you've paid for something and we want to take it away, we'll take it away anyway. You're correct. That is the direction the world is going in. Whether that's the direction the world should be going in is a different question. And in my opinion, it is not, because I think as we have given up the concept of ownership, there's a lot of things that we've given up with that. So yeah, I mean, you can call me a boomer, I guess. I'm 42. But it just because, like I said, just because it is that way doesn't, to my mind, mean it should be that way. So
Yeah, no, I agree with you that like there should always be option. Like I don't want you to take away physical games. I know it's coming. Like
And you're a person that doesn't buy them.
no, I save the plastic trees. I don't buy any discs of any sort. Music, movies, video games, nothing. Everything I have is all 100% digital. But I don't think you should take it away because people love that shit and they love to be able to revisit those things and feel like they own them. Um, I
I
do
think
find it.
though.
Well, I was
Oh,
saying,
sorry.
I do find it funny that people are like, if it goes all digital, I'm gonna quit gaming. Then you didn't really like gaming to begin with. Like it sucks for you. I get it, but
Yeah, was it about gaming or was it about collecting?
yeah, like at that point, you're just stockpiling plastic if you're not playing the games,
It's kind of like the people that just collect comic books
but don't
and
read
the
them.
people that
Yeah,
read them. Yeah. It is arguably they're hobbies that overlap. You could be both, of course, too. But I, I think there is a group of people. I mean, go on YouTube, look up anybody who does a gaming channel, and if they're standing in front of a wall of games 90% of the time and not talking about the games that are on their wall, are they buying those games just to have it? It's like the people that complain about the greatest hits boxes being red on PlayStation 3. And there's a couple other the Xbox with the silver,
the green
the red,
PS1
even
games.
well, that okay, that one's a bit gaudy, but uh the even the red label on the PS2 boxes that say greatest hits bothers some people. I'm like, okay, well then, is it really about the game at that point? Like, unless you're somebody who's looking for, like, speedrunners look for certain versions because before games could be patched, they would sort of release different versions over the years. So I understand if you're like somebody that's looking for that, but most of the time it's like more for the look of the collection. And like, I don't know, the look of the collection is to be practical to some extent because I want to play. Like, do I own games I have not played? Yes, a lot of them, but it's never been bought for like just the sake of finishing a collection. It's been bought because I'm like, I want to play that, and then I don't. That's a failure on myself as a person, not but not the problem of like my desire to play games. um so like those are the people that say like, if it goes digital, I'm not doing it anymore. Well, that's because you want something to show off and not something to experience. There's record collectors that are like that too. Like, it's not.
Oh, it's
I'm
every
not. I'm not.
hobby.
Yeah, I'm not criticizing these people specifically. It's just, again, you're in a different hobby than some of us. Um, I don't know. I guess someone that still buys a lot of physical media. Um, there, games are. I used to feel the same about games as but honestly, because most, like, the only thing that I'll put in that doesn't need an update right away is a Nintendo game. That is it. Like, I'm not saying a Switch game, I'm saying a Nintendo first party game. Like, I put in WarioWare at 1.0 might be 1.0 forever. It may not need patches. Like, they do a lot of quality assurance. But some of their games do get patched and add content, and at that point, like, it's even more so on discs. Like, uh, No Man's Sky, I own that. I own the original release of that. What is on the disc and what you would actually want to play are two different things, so having that physical media is almost pointless. It's a bit different with movies and music that arguably should not change over time. Music and movies both do. They both get remastered and the like, but having that media there, it doesn't change. Whatever is on that disc is on that disc forever. It doesn't have to go into a game or a game console or whatever to be then transferred into something that is experienced, but saved to a hard drive first. So I don't know. Like I don't understand why we're so attached to physical games at this point as someone that still buys some physical games.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation continuing for sure. All right, last set of tweets here. Jeremy says, "Hey guys, I'm still flying around in No Man's Sky. Been messing with the freighters as I got a very relevant as I got a fleet given to me for helping with pirates. This game is just such a blast. I have Armored Core 6 on standby, but it might be a summer before I get to it with Dragon's Dogma 2 coming. The question is, what's your favorite old game that keeps on giving?" Huh.
I mean, the game that I always go back to is Super Mario World. I will probably go back to that game for the rest of my life. So
It's really good.
that's the game to me that keeps on giving.
I mean, I have to say it's Link to the Past. I think I replay that game once every couple of years. I love that
I was
game.
gonna say it might be mine, even though it's not my favorite Zelda game. It's the easiest Zelda experience to just get into.
That is my favorite Zelda game, and I think almost every dungeon in that game.
There's no because it doesn't have big long cutscenes either.
No, it's just
I'm going out. All right, see ya, Uncle. And then like, whoops, gotta wake up. Got voices talking to me in the head. I'm gonna go into the castle now. Like, all right.
isn't like the longest conversation in that with sha 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 la la la.
I believe so, and that's like him explaining basically enough to explain the plot of what you're doing.
Yeah, sha 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 la la should come back.
There's also not like a bunch of side quests that are hard to figure out. They're all
Nope.
pretty self-explanatory.
Nope, all just right there. God, that game's good. The music is good too. Oh, it's so good. All right, that's it. That's all I got for this week. I think we're gonna be back this week with Phoenix Down. I don't remember when he said they were gonna get to it. He's closing in, man. He's got what, like 3 months left, 2 months left, 3 months.
Yeah, something like that.
Then the baby be coming. So that's Greedfall. So hopefully that'll be back this week. If you want to tweet at us, ZTGD Radio on Twitter. Emails podcast@ztgd.com. I think that's it. Excuse me. We'll be back next week to talk about the most controversial review code in history of the Suicide Squad.
Oh God, I might just skip that conversation. Talk about a fucking nothing burger, in my opinion. Like, is it weird that they haven't sent out codes?
No, it's not.
Well, I mean,
it's a live service game. It happens with every live service game.
I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, them not sending codes out until the day of launch for a live service game is relatively typical. Them telling an outlet like IGN that they're not going to send them a code is not typical.
No, that's not typical.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. It just
they're making a choice, and like I understand it on one level because IGN is really good about like when something sucks, they really like drive it home to the point of like, what was it? Remember how they retweeted something about Xbox for like 3 weeks or something because it was getting engagement? And like,
yeah,
like the negative, they know the negative stuff gets attention, so they spam the hell out of it. So since they didn't really care for the game, WB was like, well, then why would we let you spam negativity about our game? But at the same time, it makes WB look bad too.
Well, and they're buying the game, so now they're going to get the negative. They're going to get the negativity anyway, with the additional level of negativity where they look like they're afraid of something because they didn't give them a copy of the game. Now,
100%.
listen, uh, they're not obligated to send anybody a copy of the game.
Nope.
But it definitely does. It is a little strange.
It is strange, but also IGN, you're petty as fuck. Like,
I mean,
you know how many,
yeah.
review codes I've been denied? I don't go on Twitter and write an article about it.
No, of course.
Like, yeah,
You also don't spend the time up until that point of asking for a review code shitting on something.
Yeah,
publicly.
I feel bad when like I say something negative about something and somebody's like, "Hey, do you want a review code?" I'm like, "Really? Okay."
Yeah.
You weren't listening the other day, I guess.
Like I shit on that. What was that fucking Quantum Error game? Like for like 2 weeks, and then they were like, "You want a code?" I'm like, "Okay."
I think more than anything though, Quantum Error, like it wasn't necessarily shitting on the game, because if the game just came out, it would have been whatever.
Exactly.
Right?
It was shitting on the fanboy crap.
Well, yeah, that they were fanning the flames out. Fuck them.
Yeah, and then like they're
And
like,
if they're too
"Review?"
stupid at that point to realize maybe handing a code to this person is a bad idea, then fuck them. But that's the type of environment that they made. It's kind of like how man, I don't know why I remember this, but back when Total Biscuit was around, the people that made Titan Souls got into it with him, and he basically, because there was that bad blood, he just said, "I'm not reviewing the game. I just there's no way I'm going to be not biased towards these people who have been just constantly being rude to me." I want to say they may have made a joke about him having cancer, which is like, but it was such a weird thing to see, like between the developer and a YouTuber, which is the reviewer. Like that's what it feels like with this case. Is the IGN is upset and Warner Brothers upset, and like both of them just kind of seem like childish about the whole thing.
That's what I meant when I said online. Like I just hate this Discord. It just makes everybody look bad because you're acting like fucking children. Knock it off. Both sides. Stop it.
It's only the only reason why I think it's weird. Not even the IGN part, that they're not sending codes out, but I don't do a lot of live service reviews because I just don't like playing live service games at all. Is just that anytime a game is like given to reviewers the day of, outside of Nintendo because their rules are weird, it just feels like, okay, is this so like people would buy the game and not know that it's bad ahead of time?
I mean, sure, but enough. I think enough people are savvy enough. Like, here's the thing: the people that are savvy enough to read the reviews are going to wait anyway, and the people who were going to buy it based on the commercial on WWE Raw were going to buy it without reading the reviews anyway.
Fair enough.
So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Who cares? Like, word of mouth will always win for certain games. But anyway, that's it. We're going to get out of here. Peace, bitches.
Alrighty. And it goes something like this.